We need to talk about the future of amp modelers, and if I was going to bet, I would say that all of them end up incorporating this new technology, because if they don't, they're gonna get left behind. What's up, friends? I'm glad to have you here. If you're new here, my name is Taylor, and I'm going to talk a little bit today about what I see on the horizon in the way of amp modeling from the likes of 𝗦𝗦𝗃, Axefx, and how that's gonna affect other names in the industry, all the way down to the smaller manufacturers like 𝗦𝗦𝗃 or Flamma. And this starts all the way back in 2020 with the Quad Cortex. Now, at the time, to me, I was really surprised that it took someone so long to start incorporating amp profiling or capturing, or however you want to refer to it. Let's just call it cloning for lack of a better word, into their digital multi-effects units. Up to that point, we had EQ matching options like on the Mooer GE300 and on the Axefx, but not true cloning. And that technology had been around for the better part of a decade when those products were released. I mean, consider the fact that the Kemper Profiler released during the lifespan of the Pod HD and the Axefx Ultra, and is still relevant to this day. I think that says a lot, and I think it's going to come into play here with my predictions for what's coming this year and beyond. So since the Kemper and the Pod HD and the Axefx Ultra, the technology has gotten better and better. The processors are getting faster, DSP memory is increasing, and these multi-effects units are getting more impressive. I mean, we've come a long way from these, right? So when the Quad Cortex was released, it really felt like, wow, someone is finally not staying in their own lane and is going to release a true multi-effects board with amp cloning capability in a sleek package, as Neural DSP is known for. And then we have the Helix, incorporating Helix native and sort of bridging the gap between the modeler and the 𝗦𝗃 app, which I think is really cool and much needed. Then we have the most recent implementation of this technology in the 𝗦𝗃𝗧 pedal. And if you missed my video on that, I'll link it, but the reason I'm really excited about 𝗦𝗃𝗧 is they sort of did this the other way around, where the app is the cloning device and the 𝗦𝗃𝗧 pedal is the device that you can use live. I think to date this is the best implementation and a good indicator of what we can expect coming down the pipe. The 𝗦𝗃𝗧 pedal is massively affordable by the standards of the other modelers that I've listed, coming in at only $400 US. It's kind of unreal what you can do with this, but due to its budget, it is extremely limited. We don't have a fancy screen and user interface, we don't have any effects aside from the reverb and compression, and it's very bare bones, but it really gives us insight into what we can expect to come, what I feel would be very soon. It's been a while since the bigger companies in the space have released flagship modelers, and Kemper is probably the most overdue for a new unit. The Helix is getting towards the end of its lifespan, and the same with the Headrush and even the Axefx 3. And what I think is going to happen is that these products are going to start implementing this cloning or sampling, or however you want to refer to it, technology into their own units like the 𝗦𝗃𝗧 did. I'm sure that they have all been looking at this since the release of the Quad Cortex, if not prior. So let's start with the Helix. I think the Helix is in the best spot right now personally. The UI and the experience is super intuitive already, and with its integration with the Helix native app, I could see some very small tweaks giving the Helix 2, or whatever they decide to call it, the biggest edge in this space. I mean, imagine being able to drag and drop your sampled amplifiers and presets between your plugins and your live unit like you can with the 𝗦𝗃𝗧 pedal, but having the full breadth and capability that something like the 𝗦𝗃 Helix has. 𝗦𝗃 has sort of always been the best all-arounder in this space, and I think that's going to really lend itself to the next wave of modelers. The next is the Axefx, and this one is a bit trickier. The Axefx strengths have always been in super complex, highly accurate mathematical component modeling. This isn't something that I can see being reproduced for your typical consumer because it's so intricate and complex, like down to the tubes or the plate voltage and every little variable that you can think of, and I don't know how it could be implemented on their platform. If I can guess, they will come up with some way to have a sampled amp section in their units, but I don't think it will stack up to what's already built into the unit. What I really think that the Axefx should focus on is keeping what makes them great, but improving their weakest aspect, which is the user interface. I personally think this thing needs a complete overhaul, and don't get me wrong, I understand why such a complex and deep piece of hardware is going to have some learning curves, but this thing could be implemented in a way that makes it not a nightmare to edit from the front panel. I mean, at bare minimum, giving us a companion app and Bluetooth connectivity would be a big step in the right direction, and this should be easy enough as it's already something you can do with a third-party app and Bluetooth MIDI connector. The only thing that the Axefx is way behind on is they have no 𝗦𝗃𝗧 app or plugins. If we're looking at the future where all of these things are fluid and they tie together, it's something that they're going to have to consider, in my opinion, to stay where they are in the space, which is on top. But maybe I'm wrong, maybe just making the best digital recreation of analog gear is enough. Only time will tell. The other one that I want to talk about is the Quad Cortex. The thing that makes this unit special is the ability to sample amps and other analog gear from the unit itself. If that exists in other units as a stock feature going forward, then the only thing that really separates it is the aesthetic and the user interface. but those could easily be matched by both Line 6 and Fractal in the next generation. And take this with a big grain of salt, this is only my casual observation, but maybe some people are starting to see the writing on the wall because I see a lot more quad cortexes popping up on Reverb lately. And as far as all of the other brands here, whether it's Mooer or Flamma or the 𝗦𝗡𝗏 or something like that, I think you can see the theme. Look, they all have their strengths and weaknesses, and the ones that are really going to pull ahead in the future are the ones that can tie together all of these aspects and give the end consumer the best experience possible. And I'm still very much hoping for a 𝗦𝗏𝗏𝗡 Pro pedal in the future because I think that they have the best framework to build off of at the moment. Now, I want to throw in this last thing as sort of a wish list item. It doesn't exist, and while some cool startup may be developing it at this moment, as far as I know, it only exists in my mind. But what I'm imagining as the perfect modeler in the future is some sort of primarily touchscreen device with a foot switch and knobs similar to the Quad Cortex, but that runs some sort of operating system like possibly Linux or a version of Windows that enables you to load up plugins and use them live. I've done demonstrations on this channel using my laptop and audio interface as an amplifier, and the results are really cool, but it's just not practical. Like, just imagine a unit similar to the form factor of the Quad Cortex, but just with more screen real estate that had a super processor in it and allowed you to load up multiple chains with multiple plugins. That would be amazing, and something that I bet we will get close to in the future. Maybe not this next generation, but one day. All right, so what do you guys think? I'm very curious to know what all of you would want in your dream modeling rig. Let me know down in the comments, and as always, if you like this video, make sure to hit the like button. It really helps out the channel. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, dudes.